if you experience anxiety, be that quite mild or on the other end of the spectrum, quite severe, quite chronic, 3 considerations that can help you both in the immediate term but also in the long term. The first one is function of breath or dysfunction of breath, because every breath that we're taking, we're sending a signal to our nervous system. So if we have any level of dysfunction in our breathing, and many of us do because of the pace at which we move through our day and the pace of modern society and the demands, if we have any kind of dysfunction in the breathing, if we're breathing through our mouth, we're breathing fast from the chest, that can perpetuate a stress state. And so if we're already feeling a little bit anxious, that can exacerbate anxiety even further. It can maintain or perpetuate that stress tone in the sympathetic branch of the nervous system. Alternatively, if we're breathing consciously and we're bringing a mindful awareness to our breath to be nasal breathing, we call it nose, slow and low. So nasal breathing, slowing the rate of breath right down and breathing down into the diaphragm or the core breathing muscles as opposed to from up in the chest. That can have a really beautiful impact. We're sending a signal in that case to the nervous system that we are safe and that everything is okay, and we can alleviate symptoms of anxiety. The second consideration is our nutrition. If we're eating a very highly processed, lots of refined sugars, that can, fried foods, packet foods, all that kind of stuff, which can taste lovely at the time, but it can have an inflammatory impact on the gut. Our gut is our enteric nervous system, and there's also the gut-brain axis. So if we have an inflammatory reaction to the refined and processed foods in our gut, that sends a signal to our brain. And so that in itself can exacerbate or even bring about anxiety. So always look at your food. Consider alcohol intake as well, because alcohol is quite inflammatory. It might take the edge off initially in the moment if you do feel anxiety, but thereafter, after the fact, whether that be a little bit later in the day or the night after you've had a few drinks or the day after, typically you'll notice some kind of reaction in the gut, and that the inflammatory reaction is what can really trigger the enteric nervous system, the gut-brain axis, into that more anxious state. The third consideration, and this can be often overlooked, if we're doing all that beautiful breath work, we're hydrating, we're moving our body, we're eating well, and we're still feeling anxiety, also consider, there are a multitude of reasons why someone might feel anxiety. So these are 3 quick high-level considerations. But consider your external environment and consider the people you surround yourself with. So if, for example, we live in a very densely populated city and we're the kind of person that feels like we need open space, that in itself can be a bit of a trigger for anxiety. If we are going into a workplace that is high pressure, deadlines, perhaps the people we're surrounded with, they don't feel right. They're not kind of our people. You can feel when someone's not necessarily aligned. That can be quite triggering if we're constantly putting ourselves into an environment that our body is perceiving as a threat. Like, the body holds such immense and innate wisdom. And if we're feeling anxiety, the body is detecting something, whether that be a person, whether that be an environment. So just pay attention to those feelings, those triggers. We can experience anxiety because of, past events in our life, trauma and trauma memories and so on. But the body does hold an innate wisdom. And so just pay attention if we are doing all of this beautiful work with food, nutrition, hydration, movement and breath, and we're still feeling heightened anxiety in some situations or around some people, just sort of gently turn towards it. Be curious and be like, what is my body trying to tell me in this moment? So those 3 things alone, those 3 considerations, can have a pretty profound and powerful impact on your experience of anxiety.